Okay, let's unpack this. I want you to just picture the current car market for a second. What do you see? I'm betting it's a sea of massive, bulky SUVs, crossovers on every corner, blocking your view at junctions. It feels like the world has just collectively decided that bigger, taller, and heavier automatically means better.
It certainly feels that way. I mean, the dominance of the SUV has been the defining trend of the last decade, really. It's almost the default choice.
Exactly. But then along comes this, the 2026 Audi A6 Avant e-tron. It's low, it's sleek, it's aerodynamic, it's an estate car or a station wagon, and honestly, it feels like a breath of fresh air. It's the anti-SUV. And today, we are going on a deep dive to figure out if this is just, a nostalgia trip for wagon lovers, or if this is actually the best electric vehicle on the market.
It is a fascinating pivot. And to answer that question, we've got a really interesting stack of sources. We're pulling from a detailed road test in the Scottish Highlands, from the Courier, some pretty rigorous technical breakdowns from Totally EV, and then comparative data from Cinch, putting it up against the big guns, Porsche, BMW.
So we've got the romance of the Highlands and the cold, hard facts of the spec sheet. I love that mix.
It's the best way to get the full picture. And, well, straight off the bat, the vibe is interesting. You look at recent BMWs, and they can be a bit shouty.
Oh, totally. They scream, look at me. This Audi, though, it's got this kind of low-key elegance. It's stylish, but it isn't trying too hard. It feels confident.
That confidence comes from what's underneath. This isn't just an old A6 with a battery shoved in the trunk. It's built on what they call the PPE, the Premium Platform Electric.
Right, the PPE. We see that acronym a lot. Why does that actually matter to the person holding the steering wheel?
It matters because of the DNA. This platform was co-developed with Porsche. It's the same architecture under the new electric Porsche Macan, the Audi Q6 e-tron. It dictates the entire packaging of the car, where the wheels sit, how low the center of gravity is, and crucially, the electrical architecture. It means this car was born electric, not adapted to be electric.
So it's got Porsche cousins. That's a good start. But let's get to the number everyone cares about, range. Because on paper, this thing sounds like a marathon runner.
It does. Let's just look at the claims. The entry-level models have an 83 kilowatt-hour battery, which is already substantial. But the ones getting all the attention, the Performance and Quattro models, are packing a massive 100 kilowatt-hour battery.
That is a huge battery. Just for context, that's significantly larger than what you'd find in most standard EVs today.
It is a massive slab of energy, and that allows Audi to claim some, well, very impressive WLTP figures. Depending on the trim, they're quoting anywhere from 437 miles up to maybe 463 miles on a single charge. That's the kind of number that supposedly cures range anxiety forever.
Supposedly is the word. Because here's where it gets really interesting. One of our sources, Jack McEwen from the Courier, actually took the launch edition, which claims 402 miles, and drove it around the Scottish Highlands for a week. Real roads. Real weather.
And this is where we get the reality check. So what did the real world have to say?
It said 300 miles.
Ah, the classic reality check.
Yeah. He said over a week of driving around Perthshire, Fife, Dundee, he managed about 300 miles on a full charge. Now, he did admit he was playing with the performance a bit.
Which, let's be honest, you're going to do in a powerful new Audi.
Of course. He reckoned judicious driving, staying in efficiency mode, could add maybe 20 or 30 miles. But we're still looking at a 100-mile gap between the brochure and the tarmac. That feels like a big haircut.
It sounds significant, and yes, it is a letdown if you were banking on 400. However, 300 miles of real-world range is actually excellent. Think about it. That's London and Newcastle, comfortably. The reviewer even noted he didn't need to charge for a full week of normal use. He only plugged it in the night before giving it back.
That's a fair point. If you can go a whole week without even thinking about a plug, does the specific number matter as much? The real question is, can I get through my week? And the answer seems to be yes.
Precisely. And speaking of plugs, this is where that PPE platform and the Porsche influence really shines. This car uses an 800-volt architecture, which lets it charge at a peak of 270 kilowatts.
Which means?
It means the bathroom break charge is a reality. You can go from 10% to 80% battery in just 21 minutes.
Wow.
Find powerful enough charger, and you're adding 180 miles of range in 10 minutes.
That is fast. That's grab a coffee and a sandwich fast.
Yeah.
It changes how you think about road trips.
It does, but there is a quirky feature here I have to mention. About the charging ports.
Oh, I read about this. It has two, right?
Yes, dual ports. You have an AC/DC port on one side and just an AC port on the other. It's incredibly convenient because you don't have to worry about which side of the charger you park on.
That sounds brilliant. A big practicality win.
Ideally, yes.
No.
But the execution, they are covered by these huge electronic motorized flaps.
Oh no, motorized.
You push the logo and this door just slowly slides down electronically.
I can already feel the frustration. It's pouring with rain, you're in a hurry, and you're waiting for a little robot door to slowly reveal the plug.
And from an engineering standpoint, it's just another thing to break. What happens in 5 years when the motor burns out? A simple manual flap would have been faster and more reliable. It's a classic case of over-engineering something just to signal luxury.
Classic luxury car move. Okay, so the range is solid, charging is lightning fast, but it's an Audi. It's got to drive well. How does it feel?
Well, the comparison that keeps coming up is Tesla. If you've driven a Model S, you know that feeling. It's savage. It snaps your neck back.
Yeah, it's like being launched from a cannon. Great for showing off, terrible for your stomach.
Exactly. The A6 e-tron isn't doing that. It's fast. The S6 model does 0 to 62 in 3.9 seconds. But the delivery is described as smooth, it's composed, it builds speed, it doesn't just explode forward.
One reviewer called it quiet as a library, even at 70 miles per hour. That acoustic glazing must be doing some heavy lifting.
It is. It's all about refinement. It's a mile muncher. But this brings us to a bit of a controversy. The suspension.
Uh-oh. What's the issue?
So in the UK, the standard models, even the ones costing upwards of £65,000, come with steel dynamic suspension, just standard springs.
Steel springs. On a car that can push 6 figures.
Precisely. Now you compare that to its main rival, the BMW i5 Touring. The BMW comes with air suspension on the rear axle as standard.
That seems like a big miss for Audi. Why does that matter to the driver?
Air suspension gives you that wafting quality, it levels the car out, and it just absorbs road imperfections so much better. The expert from Total EV really pointed this out. The Audi handles potholes well enough, but for this price. You expect that magic carpet ride. You can get it on the super expensive S6, but for most buyers, you might feel a little shortchanged compared to the BMW.
That's a tough sell. Pay us 80 grand and we'll give you springs.
Yeah.
But I did see one feature that got a lot of love. The one-pedal driving.
Yes. This is something they've nailed. It's fully customizable, but it has a true one-pedal mode that brings the car to a complete stop.
It was a godsend in the city. You just lift off, and the car stops. No juggling pedals in traffic.
It's seamless. It shows that while they might have missed on the suspension spec, the actual drivetrain calibration is top tier.
Okay, let's hop inside. Because if you're spending all this time in a library quiet car, the interior better be nice. And wow, there are a lot of screens in here.
It is a digital utopia, or a nightmare, depending on your view. You have the 14.5-inch central touchscreen, the 11.9-inch driver display, and then the passenger screen.
The passenger screen. Talk to me about this. Is this useful or just a gimmick to add a few $100 to the price?
It lets the passenger watch videos or change music, and it has a privacy filter so it doesn't distract the driver. But in practice, it's often just considered a gimmick. Most passengers are just looking at their phones anyway.
It feels like tech for tech's sake. But there is one piece of tech that isn't a gimmick, right? The augmented reality head-up display.
This is fascinating. Most HUDs just project a flat image. This system projects navigation arrows that look like they're on the road ahead of you. So you don't see an arrow on your screen. You see it hovering over the actual turn you need to take.
That's some Iron Man stuff.
It is. One reviewer called it a work of art. It genuinely reduces cognitive load because you're looking at the road.
I love that. But, and there's
Jason?
always a but. I keep reading about an ouch moment with the materials.
This is the contradiction. You have this incredible AR tech, lovely leather seats, and then you reach down to the lower center console or the door frames, hard, harsh plastics.
In a car approaching 100,000 pounds.
It's unacceptable, frankly. The Total EV review was pretty scathing about this. You expect that tactile quality everywhere in a premium Audi. To find scratchy plastic in high-touch areas is just, it's a real disappointment. It feels like they spent the budget on the screens and forgot the door bins.
It breaks the illusion. Speaking of which, we have to talk about the roof.
The panoramic glass roof.
Yeah, the one that switches from transparent to opaque. That is a very cool party trick.
It is. It uses polymer dispersed liquid crystal tech. It eliminates the need for a physical roller blind, which saves headroom and weight. That's clever.
Very clever. But let's get to the most controversial feature. The mirrors. Or the lack of them.
The virtual exterior mirrors. This is a debate that divides everyone.
So for anyone listening who hasn't seen this,
Yeah.
instead of mirrors, you have little cameras on stalks. And inside, there are screens on the door pillars showing you what's behind.
Correct.
Why reinvent the mirror? It's a piece of glass. It's worked for 100 years.
Two reasons: aerodynamics and aesthetics. Audi claims these little cameras improve airflow enough to add about 7.4 miles of range.
7 miles. Is that it? Is that worth it?
That is the question. The downside is significant. The reviewers found that depth perception is off. Because it's a 2D screen, everything looks closer than it is, and you have to retrain your brain. You look outside for the mirror, but you have to look down at the door panel instead.
And I just keep thinking about the cost. Clipping a cyclist or a garage door. A normal mirror. Annoying. A high-tech camera stock. That sounds like a mortgage payment to replace.
It's a valid fear. One reviewer explicitly said, "I'd hate to think how much they cost to replace." It feels like a cool talking point, maybe, but is it safer or easier? The consensus seems to be no.
Yeah, give me glass mirrors and 7 miles less range any day of the week. Okay, so it's a tech-heavy, smooth cruiser, but it's an Avant, an estate. It has to carry stuff. Does it pass the IKEA test?
Well, this is where the anti-SUV narrative hits a bit of a snag. The boot space is 502 liters.
Is that good?
It's okay. But you compare it to the BMW i5 Touring, which has 570 liters, or the VW ID.7 at 605, and the Audi is lagging behind.
That's a big difference. 100 liters is a couple suitcases.
Exactly. The sleek styling cuts into the cargo room. Now, if you fold the seats flat, you get over 1,400 liters, which is plenty. And it does have a front trunk of 27 liters, which is perfect for storing muddy charging cables.
A frunk is always a win. But what about the people in the back?
Legroom is actually quite generous, but there is a vertical issue.
A vertical issue.
The high floor problem. Because that massive battery is a slab under the car, the floor is higher than in a gas car.
But the roof is low because it's a sleek wagon.
Exactly. So the seat bench stays low to keep headroom. The result? Your knees are pushed up higher than your hips. You lack under-thigh support.
So it feels like you're sitting on a tiny chair in a kindergarten classroom.
A little bit, yeah. For taller passengers on a long trip, it can feel like a squeeze, even though the car is so big. It's a common EV problem, but it's noticeable here.
That's a shame. But hey, if you can't fit everything in the boot, you can tow it, right?
You can, and this is a redemption point. It can tow up to 2,100 kilograms. That is surprisingly capable for an electric estate.
That's a proper caravan or a horse box.
It puts it right back in the running as a practical family hauler, provided you aren't relying just on the boot space.
So what does this all mean? We started by asking if this is the best or just a nostalgia trip.
I think the verdict is nuanced. The Audi A6 Avant e-tron is undeniably one of the most aerodynamic, stylish, and technologically advanced estates ever made. It's a true mile muncher. If you do long highway miles, that silence, that 300-plus mile real-world range, and that fast charging make it brilliant. But there are trade-offs.
Yeah.
You're paying a premium price for slightly less practicality. The boot is smaller than the BMWs. The plastics are worse than you'd expect. The suspension isn't as sophisticated as it should be.
So it's a hard overhead car.
Yeah.
You buy it because it looks incredible, not because it's the utilitarian champion.
Precisely. It is a flawed beauty.
You know, this brings up something I've been thinking about. As we move to this all-electric future, are we seeing a shift in what utility actually means?
So.
Well, manufacturers are so obsessed with range hitting that magic 400-mile number that they're stuffing these massive batteries in. But to do that, they're raising the floors, compromising rear comfort, and sacrificing boot space for aerodynamics. Are we slowly losing the utility in our utility vehicles just to win a game of top trumps on the spec sheet?
That is a profound question. If an estate car can't comfortably haul 4 adults and their luggage because the battery needs to be huge, have we kind of lost the plot? It's certainly something to watch as battery tech evolves. Maybe density improvements will give us our legroom back.
Let's hope so, because I'd like to keep my knees below my waistline. Thank you very much.
Agreed.
Listen, we really appreciate you spending your time with us today. Whether you're commuting, working out, or just hiding from your own kids for a bit, thank you for letting us be part of your day. This show only exists because of your curiosity.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for listening.
Do yourself a favor. Google those Audi virtual mirrors and ask yourself if you trust them to parallel park. And then join us next time for another deep dive.